about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Tuesday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us. Hope everybody had a safe, productive Labor Day weekend. I watched just a nauseating amount of college football. I was almost embarrassed at how much college football I watched. I just let it engulf me from Friday to Saturday to Sunday, and then even last night. I guess you call that a college football game. What a debut for Bill Belichick, and a very negative return on investment for the North Carolina powers that be. Yikes, as TCU gave North Carolina the absolute beating. But, of course, the big story is in the state of Florida, right? Florida State doing what they did to the Alabama Crimson Tide. Miami getting a huge win over Notre Dame, and as a result of those games in Florida winning again. By the way, I get that Long Island was a replacement for FAMU. That was a terrible game. I mean, you know, Florida is used to playing directional U a lot of times, certainly when Spurrier was there. It's not been as prevalent recently, but just a terrible game. I don't know what you really got out of that as a Gator fan, other than maybe you have field goal issues and Vernell Brown made a great catch. But despite that, Florida wins, Florida State wins, Miami wins. And as I told Rick there during the 2-minute drill, first time in 19 years. Think about that for a second. First time since 2006 that Florida State, and Miami are all AP top 15 in the same week. And college football is better. Maybe I'm a state of Florida homer, but I think college football is better when the Hurricanes, the Seminoles, and the Gators are good. And all three of them appear to be good. And look, we'll get into Florida State. We'll get into Miami. We'll talk a little Florida as well. We're not going to avoid college football, but as you can imagine, a lot of tonight will be around the Jacksonville Jaguars. As finally, ladies and gentlemen of Northeast Florida, finally, we have gone through 7 months, right? Liam Cohen got hired, what was it, January 24th, 25th, somewhere around there. James Gladstone came about a month later, right before the Combine. And we've gone through free agency, the draft, OTAs, mini camp, training camp, the preseason. I mean, we've broke it down like nobody's business every night here on Hacker After Dark. And finally, this Sunday at 1 o'clock at Everbank Stadium, win, lose, or draw, we will start at least getting some clarity. We will start getting some answers to questions we have been asking for the better part of over half the calendar year. And we're going to talk a lot about the Jaguars and their opener tonight. Guest lineup looks like this. Mark Duffner, 50 years as a football coach, almost 3 decades of that on the NFL side of things. He's going to join us very frequently this year on Hacker After Dark. We'll have Coach Duffner on coming up here in about 10, 15 minutes or so to get his thought on opening day, on the Carolina Panthers. And speaking of Carolina, we will go to Charlotte a couple of times this week. My buddy Mike Kay, formerly of First Coast News back in the day, he is now with the Charlotte Observer. We will get the Carolina Panther point of view on this game coming up Sunday. We look at it as a must-win, a game the Jaguars need to win, a game the Jaguars are better than their opponent, right? How are they looking at it in Charlotte? I think they're probably looking at it very similar. New coach for the Jaguars, all these new players. uncertainty with Travis Hunter and how they're going to use him, right? If I'm a Carolina fan, or if we're doing sports radio in Charlotte right now, you're probably looking at this as a game Carolina can win pretty easily. So some fan base is going to be awfully disappointed on Sunday evening, and we're certainly going to spend a lot of time on it. In fact, that is where we will begin, because every night here on Hacker After Dark, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night. And Dylan Denmark, let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No, because it is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
Sense of relief may be too strong, but that is sort of how I feel, right? I'm privileged enough to sit behind this microphone every night and talk to you, the hardworking men and women of Northeast Florida and far beyond. And a majority of our conversation for the last 7 months has been Jacksonville Jaguar related. How will Liam Cohen do as a head coach? How will James Gladstone put this roster together? What about first-time coordinators, Anthony Campanile and Grant Udinski? What about the free agents that are brought in? Did the floor of the roster get raised with the likes of Eric Murray and Jordan Lewis and Robert Hainsey and Patrick McCarry and Chuma Edoga and De'Ami Brown? Then, of course, you had the unbelievable draft day trade to acquire Travis Hunter. Found some new stars in rookie minicamp and in OTAs like Bashel Tootin and Jack Kaiser, Jonah Monheim, right? And we have broken it down every which way you can break it down, and we've done so for 7 months. And it's all leading up, it all has led up to this Sunday at 1 o'clock. Now, is the season over if the Jaguars lose? Of course not. Is the season a success if the Jaguars win? Of course not. It's 1 of 17. But finally, we will begin. It won't be a whole picture, but we will begin to get some clarity into things you have been asking, we have been asking, we have all been wondering for 7 months. How will they use Travis Hunter? Can Liam Cohen do to Trevor Lawrence what he did to Baker Mayfield? Can this offensive line protect and open up holes in the running game? Can Joshua Hines-Allen respond to what was a down 2024? Can Trayvon Walker go for 3rd year in a row, 3 years in a row of double-digit sacks? All of these questions, those and so many more that we have been talking about and bantering about for 7 months. And finally, this Sunday, 1 o'clock, Everbank Stadium, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. We will begin to get some clarity as the Jaguars take on the Carolina Panthers. Don't want to get too high or too low based on what we see Sunday, but the fact of the matter, guys, is this. I don't know if there's anything like a must-win in week 1 of an NFL season. I tend to doubt there is a must-win. But when you consider at Cincinnati, home Houston, at San Francisco, Monday night home against Kansas City are the 4 games after the opener against Carolina, I don't have to consider this. This Carolina game is on paper by far and away the easiest, the most winnable of your first 5 games. I feel very confident in telling you that. So with that as a backdrop, maybe it is a must-win on Sunday at 1 o'clock. Carolina's going to come in here a little banged up. They're probably not going to have their starting left tackle. They got wide receiver issues. Jalen Coker for them had a great training camp. He was slotted to be a big part of their offense. He's out with a quad injury. They traded Adam Thielen. So they're going to come in here at their wide receiving core with a rookie in Ted McMillan, with Xavier Legette, the pick from last year, And their number 3 guy they cut and brought back, and you know him, is Hunter Renfrow. Quickly, name Carolina's 2 starting defensive ends. I'll wait. That's kind of my point, right? On paper, the Jaguars are better than the Carolina Panthers. But as we know, games aren't played on paper. And I'm trying not to do this. I'm trying not to go back into what was a horrid nightmare of a 2024 season. But we had so much excitement going into Miami, right? The Battle of Florida last year this time. Jaguars, Dolphins. 1 year ago, just 1 year. 365 little days. And everything changed with that Travis Etienne fumble. Everything. If you go out there against Carolina, you do what you're supposed to do, you don't commit stupid penalties, and you don't turn the ball over, the Jacksonville Jaguars should win the game. I feel very confident in that. But with so much uncertainty, so many new guys, a new system, Bryce Young certainly looked better towards the end of last year. Carolina's coming in with a little bit of confidence. I don't know. It'll be interesting. And we're going to talk about it tonight, tomorrow, Thursday, all week long here on Hacker After Dark. And very thankful, happy, honored that I'm back during the 5th quarter this year on 1010XL. 2 hours after the Jaguars and the Panthers go final. Myself, the Pro Bowler Leon Searcy, and the new coach. Of course, Dave Campo and his lovely wife have moved back to Dallas. But we got our guy Gerald Ingram, 28 years on the coaching sideline, 18 years in the NFL. Coach Ingram has 2 Super Bowl rings on his finger from his time with the New York Giants. He will join Leon Searcy and myself for the 5th quarter this year, 2 hours after every Jaguar game, and that will debut this Sunday, 2 hours after the Jaguars and the Panthers go final. So we are very busy this week. We are glad you're with us. Tonight we're absolutely loaded. We're going to talk college ball. We'll make a trip to Tallahassee, talk with Logan Robinson of Knoll Game Day. We'll make a trip to Gainesville, talk to Andrew Spivey of Gator Country. But we're going to kick things off with the Jaguars and the Panthers. Mark Duffner, 50 years as a coach, 50 in either the collegiate game or the NFL. Duff spent 28 plus years as a National Football League coordinator, position coach. He is a valuable resource. We're going to talk to him about opening day, talk to him about the Jaguar roster, and preview Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers. And that conversation is next on a Tuesday night, game week, here in Jacksonville, Florida. We're glad you're with us. Hacker After Dark, 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Speed.
45-50.
Talent.
How high can you leap?
Opportunity.
Just when they needed it most.
Listen for the Universal Roof and Contracting Offensive Player of the Game. Experience the universal difference on 1010XL.
Jaguars football is officially back. Be there as number 2 overall draft pick Travis Hunter, quarterback Trevor Lawrence, and new head coach Liam Cohen take the field for the first time during the 2025 NFL regular season. Secure your seats for when the Jaguars take on the Panthers September 7th by going to jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. We'll see you at the bank.
Hi, I'm John Haney from Clearwater Gutters and Drainage. After heavy rains, the problems are obvious. Mulch blown out of your beds, water standing around your foundation, and that fancy new crater back behind your bushes. Let Clearwater Seamless Gutters help you solve the problem spots.
Clearwater Seamless Gutters. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at gutters. And drainage, too.
Find out more at clearwaterjacks.com.
If you missed it, get it on demand.
And you send those out on the line.
Find your 1010XL favorites where you find podcasts and at 1010XL.com. Channel 5. Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning.
New and pre-owned firearms are in stock at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Want a new sidearm or rifle? Brands like Kimber, Smith & Wesson, 6 Hour, Beretta. No lines, no hassle. Only at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Here's your 1010XL community calendar of local events and nonprofit groups helping people here at home.
Your family can enjoy a special day of fun with games, food, and live music while remembering the sacrifices of our nation's prisoners of war at the National POW MIA Recognition Day, September 20th. Learn more at POWMIAmemorial.org.
Tee off for a cause. Join Junior Achievement of North Florida for the Golf Classic, September 29th at San Jose Country Club. Help support financial literacy for local students. Find out how at janfl.org.
This is Tom Coughlin, and September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Help the J Fund raise awareness to help our neighbors and community members tackling this devastating disease.
Find out how you can be part of the cure for blood cancer at the Light the Night Walk at ViStar Ballpark, November 22nd.
You can find out how to share your community event at 1010XL.com.
Is your backyard ready for the big leagues? Pick it here for Surfside Pool. Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, they have the home field advantage. Family owned and operated, offering weekly pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools make your backyard dreams a reality. Are you ready to float happy? Visit surfsidepools.net or call 904-246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, your hometown MVP.
License number CPC 044080.
At the First Coast YMCA, you'll find much more than just a gym. We offer many ways to help you become more active, reach your weight loss goals, and find your inner strength. Membership at the Y includes state-of-the-art facilities, a huge variety of fitness classes, and programs for all ages. It's easy to join the Y since it's affordable for all incomes. The Y is a great place to make connections and experience something new. Visit the YMCA near you or online at fcymca.org.
Join Jim Furyk and other legends of the PGA Tour for the Constellation Furyk and Friends, presented by Circle K, October 3rd through 5th at Timuquana Country Club. Catch the new community concert series on the 17th hole after play, featuring country artists Low Cash and Love and Theft. Public parking is free with complimentary tournament access for military, courtesy of ViStar Credit Union. Get tickets now for the Constellation Furyk and Friends, presented by Circle K, starting at just $25 at Ticketmaster.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line.
Hello.
Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The Jaguars and the Panthers, Sunday at 1 o'clock. Of course, you will hear the game right here on 1010XL as the 2025 NFL regular season gets underway. What about Bryce Young in Carolina? For that matter, what about our hometown Jacksonville Jaguars? Of course, Liam Cohen making his head coaching debut. Let's talk about all of it with a man that spent 50 years on the coaching sidelines in both college and the NFL, almost 3 decades of NFL coaching experience. My buddy Mark Duffner, always kind enough to join us here on Hacker After Dark. Coach, how we doing?
We're doing great, Hacker, and I appreciate the opportunity to be with you.
Coach, thank you as always. Opening day on Sunday, you went through a ton of these. As a coordinator, as an assistant, as a college head coach back in the day. Something special about opening day, Coach.
Well, there's nothing like it. I mean, again, you're working really all year long for the start of the season. And, you know, all your efforts in terms of whether it be offense, special teams, defense, preparation, player acquisition, fundamentals, practice schedules, nutritional schedules, weightlifting, off-season program, all these things are all culminate in terms of the efforts put forth into getting ready for kickoff. So it's an exciting time, no doubt.
We spend so much time talking about the players and how they will perform on opening day. For Liam Cohen, it's his first time as a head coach. It'll be the first time ever that his name will be up there on the Jumbotron as a head coach in the National Football League. What do you think his emotions will be come Sunday afternoon?
Oh, shoot. I think that, well, I've been very impressed first and foremost in the fact that he's a mature guy. He's shown a lot of maturity as a young coach and a lot of poise and he's well thought out when he speaks. So I suspect he's going to have pretty good composure as far as that's concerned. But being that it's something that I think he's wanted to do ever since he was a little fella, watching his father coach very successfully, he'll be excited as heck. I'm sure of that. But again, I think he's in position right now to be, focused and like I said, poised. And, I think he knows how much this game means and how much he's put into it. So he'll be excited about putting it into action.
With Liam calling plays on Sunday, you would think that would put a little more on Anthony Campanile's plate. Let's go to your bread and butter, Coach, the defensive side of the ball. It'll be Campanile's first game as a defensive coordinator. Same question. What will his emotions be come Sunday?
I think, again, number one, both of them will have great thankfulness, gratitude that, hey, wow, I finally get to do, one of these things that have been a major goal for me in my career. So I think they'll be a great gratitude and thankfulness, but they're going to have every thought probably racing through their mind, and in terms of what they're going to face. There'll be a lot of unscouted looks in this game, and that they're looking at last year's film. Certainly, Liam had the ability to play against Carolina last year and did pretty darn good against them as far as what he called. For Anthony, it'll be a culmination of a lot of work in terms of what he thinks that Carolina will do against them. But I'm sure that, like I said, he's be very excited about it, very focused about it, and very anxious for it to go very well.
The coach, Mark Duffner, with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Coach, the Jaguars, the Panthers, really every other team in the NFL. How much did we see in the preseason as far as playbooks go, or come Sunday, are we going to see a ton of stuff that we had no idea existed over the last month or so?
I would, I think in general the teams are going to show you in the preseason kind of their base DNA, if you will. In other words, kind of what their staples are in terms of offense, defense, and special teams. I mean, they've got to get those things, I think, run and have the mechanics of the game mechanics gone through in terms of substitution calls, etc. But they also, you always hear and read about the coaches. Well, we held back a lot. We're pretty vanilla. We'd like to let our players play fast. I think that they'll come out with a specific game plan that they have worked hard on in terms of what they think will work against the opponent. But once again, you won't see everything that they're going to do because they're not sure of what the opponent's going to do. So it's more about us in the first game, especially when you're going again what I think a lot of unscattered looks. You want to make sure that your team knows what your game plan is, that you've reviewed it, that you've repped it, that we don't beat ourselves. We don't beat ourselves with penalties. We don't beat ourselves with giving the ball away, not taking care of the ball, that we're able to play well, fast on defense, tackle, and get the ball for the offense. So, playing fast and execution will be a high priority, and that's only done through repetition and knowledge of the game plan. So I would suspect it'll be one that have some new wrinkles in it, but more on the lower side of that so the players can play fast.
Coach, year number 5 for Trevor Lawrence kicks off on Sunday. Your thoughts on what you saw at training camp and your expectations for Trevor this upcoming season?
Well, I have high expectation really for him. I think he's got all the tools. I mean, it's been said, many times about what his physical tools are. But I was impressed with him as I had a chance to watch 6 or 7 of their practices and how he conducted himself during practice. I like the fact that he stayed out afterwards working on different things with not only his fundamental skills but also with the receiving core in terms of throws and in routes and so forth. So I'm excited about him. I think it's time for him. He has been exposed to a lot of different offenses, but I think the gel or the connection between he and this offense, and Coach Cohen in particular, has been very, very good. And I think he's also incorporated his legs a little bit into his game, which I think is very important because he's got that skill set in a way where it can really hurt defenses. So I'm excited about what I think we're going to see. I think they've helped him in terms of the additional weapons, whether it be at the running back group or also the wide receivers and tight end group. And I think they've helped him in terms of the offensive line. So all those things will be, part and parcel in terms of how he plays, but I have a good feeling about it going into the first game.
Nearly 3 decades of NFL coaching experience. The coach, Mark Duffner, with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Coach, in your almost 30 years in the NFL, you've never seen anything like this. We've all never seen anything like what we expect to see from Travis Hunter on Sunday. Now, the Jaguars are keeping it pretty close to the chest as to his usage, but one would assume, based on what we've seen at training camp, that we're going to see a good bit of Travis Hunter on offense and a good bit of Travis Hunter on defense. What is your thought about how that will play out on Sunday?
I think that there'll be. I think you're right, Hacker. You may see him, on both sides of the ball. I do believe that's possible and probable as far as that's concerned. I personally think he'll probably be utilized a little bit more on the offensive side. Boy, what a great weapon that he is. When you put him in tandem with the other group of wide receivers that they've got, and so. That's a real tall task for the Carolina defense, having him in the lineup there. And then I think too, he'll have some opportunity to play on defense. And of course, I think you may see some man coverage with him playing against their number one or their top pick at wide receiver, McMillan, number 4, they're wide out. So I think that'll be exciting. Now, some of this may have been slowed down a little bit because, Travis was hurt a little bit there towards the end of training camp, and his role, his practice participation was less. I think he's healthy right now, so we'll just see. But I think it is going to be an exciting thing to watch and to see how they employ him both on offense and defense. And again, like I said, I've been very impressed with how the young man has tackled that situation. And boy, from an athletic standpoint, very, very special player. Great pickup for the Jaguars.
We're going to have you on a bunch this year. And, Coach, you have a unique perspective because as we scout the opponents during the weeks here on Hacker After Dark, you were doing this last year for Cincinnati. You were doing this for the last 28 years with different NFL organizations. So you're obviously very familiar with a lot of these guys. Bryce Young got better, Coach, at the end of last year. There's no doubt about that. Dave Canales, the head coach. You mentioned McMillan, their number 1 overall pick or their first-round pick. Now, they have some injury issues at wide receiver. Jalen Coker is going to miss the game. Apparently, he had a great camp. They just traded Adam Thielen, and there is some speculation that their starting tackle, who just had an appendectomy, may not play. So there's certainly some issues for Carolina. But by and large, a mile-high view, how do you assess the Carolina Panthers coming in here on Sunday?
Well, I think, Hacker, you hit a lot of good points in terms of the scouting report on this group. First and foremost, I mean, they got better as once Young got back in the lineup. I think it was around week 8. His percentage completion rate, his touchdowns to interception rate, his yards, touchdowns, and interceptions, like I said, were very, very good. They got better and better. In fact, the last game of the season against, I think it was against Atlanta, he probably had his best game. And actually in their last 3 games, they went 2-1. They got better when he got back in the lineup. They went 4-5, I think, in the last part of the season. So, this is an athletic quarterback, a guy that I think right now has more poise and composure and confidence than he's had. So you're obviously going to get his best. They've been talking about, again, the improvement that he has demonstrated in preseason camp. And then I think when you look at their wide receivers, like you talked about with McMillan, Leggett. Renfro's back into the group because they traded Thielen, they traded him away. So they've got talent at the wide receiver. They lost Coker, as you mentioned, with a quad strain in practice. But, the running game that they've got, the additions they made there. And this, Chuba Hubbard, he's as fine a back as there is in the league. I mean, a guy that I think he was like 8th in rushing last year in the league. And I think he was counted for over 60% of their rushing attack. So they've got a quality player there. They added 2 other good running backs to the group, in terms of guys that'll help them. They got a 1,000-yard rusher from Dallas and Dowdle. They drafted Trevor Etienne, who was a very effective player in terms of collegiate player. So, Dowdle was a heck of a receiver at Dallas when we faced him in the past. So they've got weapons there too. So, yeah, the health in the offensive line, whether or not the tackle, Ekwonu can come back, I think that's a stretch. But Lewis, the guard, who is banged up a little bit, I think he'll be able to play. He's had some shoulder issues in the training camp, but that'll be a key for us. I think we've got to be able to stop that run game from the defense. That'll be a big part of it. You got to be able to contain the athleticism of the quarterback. And then, defensively, starting to gain on the takeaway situation. Got to get the ball off these people. So, I think it'll be a great challenge to the team.
The Jaguars and the Panthers, Sunday, 1 o'clock. You'll hear the game right here on 1010XL as the Jaguar regular season officially kicks off. The coach, Mark Duffner. Coach, always appreciate it. Thank you for the time, and we'll talk again soon, pal.
Hacker, thanks for having me on, and again, continued success in all that you're doing. You're doing a terrific job for the fans here in Jacksonville.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Are you an experienced chiller technician and looking for a role where your skills are truly valued? It's time to make the move to Local 234, plumbers, pipe fitters, and HVAC technicians. You'll get top pay, comprehensive health and welfare benefits for your family, and a pension that doesn't come out of your pocket. Join the team that's got your back. Local 234, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit UA234.com to send your resume today.
Equal opportunity employer. If you're 55 or older and into that whole saving money thing, T-Mobile has an exclusive phone and internet bundle just for you. Right now, get 2 unlimited phone lines plus 5G home internet for just $30 each per month with autopay, plus taxes and fees. And with 5G home internet, setup is easy with just 1 cord and no technician needed, which is great if you're also into that whole keeping it simple thing. Switch now and experience the best mobile network in the U.S. Visit your local store to start saving. T-Mobile, it's better over here.
Based on analysis by Ookla of Speed Test Intelligence data Q4 2024 to Q1 2025, Ookla trademarks used under license. Unlimited on our network. Customers on voice plan may notice speeds lower than other customers and further reduction if using more than 50 gigs a month due to data prioritization. Video streams and SD on this plan. Home internet pricing after $20 and monthly bill credits plus $5 per line without autopay. Debit or bank account required. See 5G device coverage and access details at T-Mobile.com.
Hey Jacksonville, it's Dr. Kevin Kaplan, team physician for the Jaguars and proud member of Jacksonville's newest orthopedic dream team. At Orthopedic Specialists of Jacksonville, we brought together 10 board-certified fellowship-trained surgeons, each one a specialist in their field, all working together to deliver smarter, faster care with better results. From sports injuries to joint replacements, we've got the right player for every position. Visit osjax.com and meet your team. That's osjax.com.
Your grandfather was stronger at 50 than you are at 40. Want to know why? His testosterone was 30% higher than yours. That's not genetics. That's modern life killing your hormones. Stress, chemicals, sitting, it's all crushing your T levels. Male Excel reverses it. Prescription testosterone, thyroid optimization, personalized to you. Over 100,000 men are already winning again. Your turn. Try MaleExcel.com. Free assessment because you deserve it. Your family deserves it.
Fall
is here. The air is crisp, football is on, and the perfect backyard atmosphere starts with a high-quality fireplace from CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living. Hey, it's Joe C. Imagine nights by the fire, cheering on your team, surrounded by friends and family. CSS can transform your outdoor space into the ultimate game day destination. Stylish, warm, and built for memories. With several wood, gas, and electric options, let CSS make your backyard the best seat in the house. Visit CSSFireplaces.com.
Lucas Tree Service is a certified arborist and a local family-owned business with over 45 years of experience. They specialize in tree removal, trimming, and stump grinding for both residential and commercial properties. Get prepared for storm season and receive top-notch customer service from Lucas Tree Service, 904-241-3533. Online at lucastreeservice.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still, present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
You know, I'll tell you what's crazy, and obviously it happens every year, but you forget it until today. We're so engrossed by Labor Day weekend college football. We're so just watching every bit of college football that you can possibly stomach for 5 consecutive days. You all of a sudden get back here on a Tuesday night, and we are now inside of 48 hours away from the National Football League kicking off its regular season. The Dallas Cowboys tomorrow, well, ladies and gentlemen, they're going to get on an airplane, and they're going to go to Philadelphia. Love it. Absolutely love it. Cowboys, Eagles, inside of 48 hours away. Of course, Dallas decided it would be a good thing to trade their franchise defensive end a week before the season. So, needless to say, Denmark, if you're in one of those loser pools where you have to pick a loser, you don't want to waste like the Titans this week or the Saints this week. I would pretty much put all my chips in that Dallas is not going to go into Philadelphia and win that game on Thursday night.
Don't get boat race.
Yeah, exactly. Miss you, Coach Campo. Love you, bud. But, yeah, that's what Dallas needs to worry about for Thursday night. Philadelphia, I mean, they're raising a banner. Those people are going to be nuts, as is at Lincoln Financial Field. But Dallas now has all this baggage of what happened with Micah Parsons last week. For the life of me, I cannot see a scenario where Dallas goes into Philly on banner night and wins that football game. But it gets to here quick. Again, we're in the Jaguar locker room tomorrow. Liam Cohen will meet with the media. We will have an injury report tomorrow. It looks like the Jaguars are relatively healthy. I mean, all things considering, you have the Caleb Ransaw issue. He's out for the year. That's unfortunate. 3rd-round draft pick. He was certainly going to be a part of this football team. Outside of Ransaw, I mean, Monteric Brown, we'll see. We'll get an update tomorrow, but he should be back sooner rather than later. Wyatt Milam, same thing. 3rd-round pick from West Virginia. We'll see, but he should be back sooner rather than later. That's it, right? I mean, I think they're pretty healthy everywhere else. Or as you look at Carolina, Iguanu, their left tackle, had an emergency appendectomy. I would highly doubt he's going to play. They lose Jalen Coker to a quad injury after trading Adam Thielen. So they got to go re-sign Hunter Renfrow, who they cut, to come in as the 3rd wide receiver option now behind Xavier Legette and behind Tet McMillan. But that's what Carolina's going to throw out there. Their best 2 wide receivers are a rookie playing his first NFL game and a guy coming into his 2nd year that many Carolina Panther fans will tell you underachieved last year in Legette. Chuba Hubbard's a good running back. Carolina has spent a lot on that offensive line, particularly in the interior. They're a good run-blocking offensive line. Defensively, they were the worst run defense in the NFL last year, the worst. Now, they get Derek Brown back, which will help. But again, you look at everything on the stats tell you, the analytics tell you, Jaguars should win this game. If the Jaguars are, I'll pull a Denny Green here. If the Jaguars are who at least I believe them to be, And again, I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender, but I do think they will challenge for the division, what is an awful AFC South. If they are at least that, they should beat the Carolina Panthers or the home opener on Sunday at Everbank Stadium. Again, 1 o'clock kick. You'll hear it right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. In fact, we will go to Charlotte, North Carolina in the 9 o'clock hour. Mike Kay of the Charlotte Observer will give us the Panther side of this matchup Sunday here in Jacksonville. Before that, we got to talk a little college ball. Florida State. Kudos to you. I was wrong. When I'm wrong, I will admit it. I was wrong. I told you I did not like the matchup for Florida State. They physically whipped the Alabama Crimson Tide. Never in a million years did I think that statement would come out of my mouth. Florida State physically whipped the Alabama Crimson Tide. They were the better football team. Hey, Tommy Castellanos, you're going to talk a big game, brother. You backed it up. Kudos to you, young man. Unbelievably impressive. Logan Robinson, the owner and the founder of Knoll Game Day, he was in Doak Campbell Stadium on Saturday night. He joins me next. Florida State up to number 14 in America after wiping the floor with Alabama. We'll talk Seminoles next right here on Hacker After Dark.
1010XL is your home for play-by-play of Bishop Kenny football.
It's two teams without a loss, and something's got to give on the banks of the St. Johns. Turquoise Creek, Bishop Kenny, Friday at 7 on 92.5 FM.
Tired of wrestling with your shower curtain like it's a slip and slide gone wrong? Ditch the drama and say hello to a smooth, stylish glass shower enclosure from Baker Glass. Wago Glass is clean, elegant, and makes your bathroom look huge and brighter. Give your shower a makeover and feel like you're in a spa without the price tag. I'm Mac at Baker Glass. Call me and get ready to love your new shower. Let's make your shower great again. Remember, Baker Glass, no one treats you better.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
XL Prime Time is back where they belong.
Wait a minute, I know where that is.
Lunch is on Joe C., Matt Hayes, and Leon.
You could lay a little barbecue on us.
From the big #1 Duval Ford Studios.
But somebody else is going to have to cook it.
Noon to 2 weekdays on 1010XL.
I'm Frank Frangie, and I've been telling you about my daughter's journey with Awaken 180 as she tries to lose a little weight. In fact, last week you heard from Amber herself. Well, let me give you an update. She's been in it just a little over 2 months. Amber has lost 51 pounds. That's a real number. I wouldn't have believed it if I didn't see it happen. She has lost 51 pounds. And here's why. Awaken 180 is not a diet. It's a lifestyle change that is sustainable. And she has figured that out. She loves the journey. She loves the new recipes. She loves that she fits into her old clothes and she sleeps better and has more energy. And it is really, really working. She's proud, and man, am I proud of her. If you want to start your transformation, you can do the same thing. Call 844-346-1800 or visit awaken180weightloss.com. My daughter's lost 50 pounds and she's so excited about it. You can as well. 844-346-1800 or awaken180weightloss.com.
At Cannons of Jacksonville, they know that when you're towing anything, you gotta have products you can rely on. With over 50 years of fabrication expertise, the family at Cannons can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Whether it's a heavy-duty hitch, trailer frame, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons will provide you with unmatched precision and durability. For all your towing needs, visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
Hey, Jacksonville, DDH. Dreamfinders Danny Hicken here with the scoop from Dreamfinders Homes, your National Builder of the Year. We've got first-year interest rates as low as 2.99% in homes in 20-plus communities throughout Northeast Florida. If you're house hunting, make sure your first pick Dreamfinders Homes, the proud official home builder of the PGA Tour, the Florida Gators, and your Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit dfhsalesevent.com today and tell them Dreamfinders Danny sent you.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville. In the summertime, it really can stretch out most of the year because we love the warm temperatures here in the Sunshine State. Greg, give them an idea of what Honda has to offer.
They are all over the board. They've got Honda scooters, Honda motorcycles, we've got Honda boats, we've got Honda side-by-sides. Whatever you like, we've got it.
That means adventure is waiting.
That's right, and we're ready for you.
In the showroom, you can find all that Honda has to offer on Atlantic near Regency, or check out Cycles of Jacksonville's Facebook page.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Instant Keys saves the day if you have lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call 722-1111.
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line.
Hello.
Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. What a Labor Day weekend it was in the world of college football, and maybe not a bigger surprise, I guess, to some, not Florida State fans, but to some, what the Seminoles did to the Alabama Crimson Tide on Saturday. Just a dominating performance by Florida State. That 2-10 season of a year ago is already well in the rearview mirror as they knock off Alabama in pretty dominating fashion by a couple of touchdowns. Logan Robinson was at Doak Campbell Stadium this past Saturday. He is the owner and the founder of Noel Game Day, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Logan, how we doing?
Doing pretty dang good, I must say, after that weekend. Like you were just saying, Florida State pulling off a major upset, shocking the country there after that 2-10 season. And it only now just starts the conversation of what Florida State can do for the remainder of this season as well.
You know, look, you and I spoke a couple of weeks back previewing this game. I'll be honest, I'm not going to throw stones in a glass house. I didn't give Florida State much of a chance. I don't know anybody that did outside of the Florida State bubble, if you will. And they just didn't beat Alabama. They beat the crap out of Alabama, which to me is an indictment of Kalen DeBoer, one, but also gives credence to Gus Malzahn and the new defensive staff and the guys that Mike Norvell brought over. I mean, what was your reaction when you saw Florida State just decimate the Crimson Tide?
The biggest thing to me, my biggest concern going into the game was who was going to win in the trenches. And you always usually favor that, no matter really who Alabama's playing. Usually favor that in the Crimson Tide. They're usually pushing, bullying people. You know, it's a dominating, at least to start off there at the very beginning. And, you know, for Florida State, it was shocking. You know, we weren't at practices. We're not able to see kind of how things are looking, certainly too, with the limited depth that Florida State has on both sides of the ball in the trenches, offensively and defensively. But we heard from Herb Hand today, who's Florida State's new offensive lines coach, who came with Gus Malzahn from UCF, and he put it point blank. You know, he felt like he was pleased with that performance, with just being able to understand where they need to be assignment wise, and also to just playing with the physicality that is now the bar that is set very high in Tallahassee. And it was shocking. You know, Doak Campbell Stadium was rocking. I was out there in the stands for this one, so got to be out there in the atmosphere inside Doak, where you have the war chant blasting in a newly renovated stadium. It was an experience like no other. The rain didn't stop them, and it sure didn't stop FSU from getting after it and putting on a performance in front of the entire country.
Logan Robinson, the owner and the founder of Noel Game Day, with us here on 1010XL. And hey, Tommy Castellanos, kudos to you, young man. You're going to talk the talk, and then you backed it up. You know, a lot of Florida State people did not like what he had to say about Alabama a couple of weeks ago. And then he went out there and backed literally everything up that he said. Castellanos must have been the king of that campus on Saturday night.
Well, when he arrived in Tallahassee, his immediate first action was to build trust with his teammates and to show that he will be a leader, something that was lacking last year all across the board, even if you want to point out DJ Uiagalelei that was there coming from Oregon State transferring over, which he did not have the leadership qualities as well. And for Florida State, you have to have someone that is a vocal guy. And I go back to a guy like Jameis Winston who did that. Jordan Travis was somebody that really showed it to you on the field more than anything, but became a vocal leader there in his last couple of years as well. And that's something that Florida State, these players want to look up to their leader and have them lead them. And that's something that Tommy showed you not only preseason in the locker room, workouts, scrimmages, but also too in the game itself on Saturday afternoon. And it was a really cool performance from him, being able to back up all that talk that he had given to Alabama, calling out the Crimson Tide, saying Nick Saban's not there to save them. Well, he went out there and performed. He's a guy that's, I like to say he's a fearless leader. You know, he doesn't really care who he's facing. He's going to try to do and give his all. And he sure did in that first game in the Garden and Gold.
You know, you look at the defensive effort for Florida State as well. Alabama just could not match the physicality. But, you know, absolutely the front seven for Florida State and the running game for Alabama. Ty Simpson was running for his life a lot. That was a problem for Florida State last year. It certainly was not a problem on Saturday.
No, and, you know, the biggest thing to me, like I was saying at the beginning of this segment, was how is Florida State's pressure going to look like against a top tier going into the game paperwork wise. On paper, you know, that's a very talented offensive line that Alabama has. And for some of these were a little shocked to me because there were some youngins that were in there. There were some true freshmen. You have the Desir twins that have been talked about a ton in the preseason, but you're like, okay, cool, coaching staff, it's coach talk. We're not going to see them much in a game, certainly of the magnitude of Alabama. But sure enough, I mean, you saw those guys earlier in the game, second quarter, even some in the first quarter, heavy rotation. And not only were they just in there, they're not just kind of lollygagging, okay, cool, I got my playing time. No, they were actually making impacts, making plays, giving opportunities for some of the other guys around that defensive line and also to the linebacker room for Florida State. I thought if you were to give a position group and then the top three, some of your props, it would be that linebacker group because they came in with nastiness and a kind of mentality that you did not see 1% of last year. These guys were coming in hard to plug in gaps, plug in holes, and just wreak violence on Alabama's offense. And that impacted Ty Simpson all throughout the afternoon. And some of these players, including Ryan Williams, who's a top-tier wide receiver, once he got popped early on from Ashland Barker, Florida State's defensive back, he wanted no other part of getting hit by the Seminoles.
Final moments, Logan Robinson, the owner and the founder of Knoll Game Day, with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Logan, when it comes to Mike Norvell, I mean, it's either one extreme or the other, right? It's 13-0 or it's 2-10. It's lose to Jacksonville State on a Hail Mary or then beat the tar out of a top 10 Alabama team. I would imagine Florida State fans at some point might like to find a balance somewhere so it's not one extreme or the other. But how important was that win for Norvell on Saturday?
Well, it was great to see him smiling, and you also, too, saw the entire sideline, celebrating that win because, yes, okay, this was a new roster, but, I think these players do care for Mike Norvell, no matter how long they've been with him in the program, just because we've heard such good things about him as a coach and just behind the scenes on how he works that locker room itself. So to see him happy, I'm sure did a lot for the locker room overall, but also too for his tenure in Tallahassee. That was he was on the hot seat. This win certainly helps, of course, but there is still a long season ahead. I'm interested to see how this team, even though they won, now I'm interested to see how they respond. That's something that the coaching staff, Mike Norvell, told the media yesterday. Like, there was a lot of things that were left on the plate that they feel like they could have taken advantage of. Mike Norvell said he was pissed off that they did not score 2 more times as well, and said there's an urgency for improvement this week. Yes, they're playing, you can say, a cupcake team with Texas. I'm Texas A&M.
It's East Texas A&M.
East Texas A&M,
yes.
Not the Aggies, but East Texas A&M. So a cupcake game for them. But it's going to be really interesting to see how those guys, if they play with that same tenacity, that's something that all of us are going to be keeping a close eye on. But I will tell you what, though, if Florida State would have lost that game, and certainly to a convincing fashion from Alabama, you wouldn't see a lot of people in those stands in Doak. But I guarantee you, on Saturday at noon, it's going to be a hot one, but you will see that crowd involved there. And what a way for the season to begin for Mike Norvell and the rest of this team moving forward.
Well, one of the underlining stories from this weekend is Florida State and Miami, both with enormous wins, both saved the ACC. I mean, North Carolina looked terrible. Virginia Tech couldn't move the ball. Syracuse got destroyed by Tennessee. Clemson lost at home to LSU. I mean, it was not a good week for the ACC outside of Florida State and Miami. So now when you factor all of that in, I mean, what's the ceiling now for Florida State? I imagine the feeling among Seminole fans is vastly different today than it was on Friday.
Well, we're going to find out really soon, and I say that it's going to be a couple weeks until week 5 when Florida State will face the Miami Hurricanes, and if those two teams are the top of it, we're really going to find out if these guys will see each other again in Charlotte. You know, that's something, though, with Mari Cristobal. You got to watch out, though, because there are some games that they'll slip up, but they sure did have a really good performance there against Notre Dame. And I'm not ever going to count out Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers. Sometimes this happens with them early on in the season. Then they start to ramp up and things start clicking. I do believe that they have a strong quarterback there with Cade Klubnik. So that's the thing right now. It definitely does seem like a 3-team race, at least after week 1. We'll see if things shake up there. But that week 5 in Doak Campbell Stadium, which I think we all now are expecting probably to be a night game kickoff between Florida State and the Hurricanes, it should be an absolutely fun one. And definitely, if both teams continue to make strides, we'll probably see College Game Day in-house in the 850.
All right, Logan, leave us with this. You mentioned East Texas A&M coming off the Alabama game. You can only imagine the emotions that were let out against Alabama. I wouldn't be surprised if Florida State maybe has a slow start against East Texas A&M. They'll win the game pretty easily, but what are you hoping to see on Saturday?
Like I had mentioned, I'd like to see that same physicality be brought over to a lesser opponent with consistency as well. We could see it for the first 2 quarters, maybe 3, but let's see it for all 4 quarters. Let's see what this team can do. And also, too, you know, if this team is able to take a good lead, we'll probably see some guys in that 2 and 3 deep, including Kevin Sperry, who is a quarterback that has been raved about immensely from Gus Malzahn. He has talked so highly of him since arriving in Tallahassee, and he's someone that is a dual threat guy. I think of him like a little mini Baker Mayfield. We have him here in Tampa Bay with Bake, and I see that as a little bit of a comparison there with him. And so really intrigued to see what he looks like. Hopefully he'll get some early burn in that game and get some good college experience. But overall, we need to see that same kind of dominant performance like you saw against Alabama. That will really tell us if this team is really about that action moving forward.
Logan Robinson, the owner and the founder of Nole Game Day. Logan, tell the Florida State fans over here in Jacksonville about Nole Game Day, where they can find you and what they can expect.
Yeah, we got tons of content at NoleGameDay.com, the only site on Sports Illustrated representing the Florida State Seminoles. And then we also go live at least twice a week with instant reactions from every game, just about an hour after kickoff, after press conference duties are over at our YouTube at Nole Game Day on there.
Hey, final thought, Dave Canales versus Liam Cohen here on Sunday. I know that you cover the Buccaneers, too. That's kind of a unique situation. 2 former Buccaneer offensive coordinators going at it on opening day.
It's going to be very intriguing to see what they can do. Of course, you have all those playmakers at Duval, and I think Liam Cohen is a really good coach. Interested to see how he looks like as a head coach. That's something Baker Mayfield has commented on a few times this offseason. Great offensive coordinator, but how will he adjust over as a head coach? And Dave Canales, too, having a little bit of a run there to end of the season last year, seeing growth from Bryce Young. I think we're in for a good treat and hopefully a good game on Sunday.
Yeah, for you NFL fans, Logan's also the owner and the founder of Bucks Game Day on the NFL side. Logan Robinson, Nole Game Day, Bucks Game Day. Logan, I know you're busy. Thank you for the time. We'll talk again soon, pal.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it.
It's a snapshot in time.
Unbelievable concentration.
But in the end, there's always a play that stood out.
And there's the biggest play of the day.
Listen for the performance painting high performance play of the game on 1010XL.
The best value for golf in Jacksonville remains Cimarron. Totally reestablished with new tee boxes, improved fairways and greens. Also a brand new restaurant with indoor and outdoor settings and live music. Join the Wild One loyalty program online at Cimarron Golf. When's the last time you played Cimarron? Cimarron Golf Club on 210, the Wild One.
It's time for the Plumbing 411 from Superior Plumbing and Pipeline. It's not just annoying when your toilet keeps running long after you flush, it's also costly because it can waste hundreds of gallons of water a day. A running toilet's often caused by worn out flappers, corroded valves, or a faulty float. Superior Plumbing and Pipelining will fix the problem fast, which can help lower your water bill. Stop the running and start saving today. Make the superior choice when your toilet won't stop running, and learn more at superiorplumbingjacks.com.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On September 2nd, 1978, the Yankees right fielder Reggie Jackson hits his 20th home run of the season, the 19th major league player to hit 20 home runs in 11 straight seasons.
Brackish Vodka, the spirit of the sportsman and proud partner of the Jaguars, is now available at the Fresh Market Spirits and Wine. The Fresh Market Spirits and Wine is a new adult beverage store offering spirits, wine, beer, and accessories at A1A North in Ponte Vedra. A first-of-its-kind destination for thoughtfully curated spirits, wine, and beer as only the Fresh Market can. And now, you can get Brackish Vodka at the Fresh Market. Brackish Vodka, for whatever your sport is. Proud partner of the Jaguars.
The flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Are you ready to reclaim your backyard? Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, Surfside Pools is the trusted name for expert pool design. Family owned and operated, they offer pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools transform your backyard into the oasis that you crave. Are you ready to float happy? Visit surfsidepools.net or call 246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, where luxury meets leisure.
License number CPC 044080.
I know you love sports, so why not take that passion and make a difference in your community as a volunteer coach with the YMCA? Whether it's soccer, basketball, volleyball, or flag football, the Y is always looking for positive role models to help kids grow in both skills and character. Even if you've got no coaching experience, that's fine. We'll provide the training. Step up, give back, and be the coach that makes a difference. To volunteer, visit your local Y or fcymca.org.
Join Jim Furyk and other legends of the PGA Tour for the Constellation Furyk and Friends, presented by Circle K, October 3rd through 5th at Timaquana Country Club. Catch the new community concert series on the 17th hole after play, featuring country artists Low Cash and Love and Theft. Public parking is free with complimentary tournament access for military, courtesy of ViStar Credit Union. Get tickets now for the Constellation Furyk and Friends, presented by Circle K, starting at just $25 at Ticketmaster.
Denny Thompson here. Look, don't get left in the dark. We're all trying to reason with hurricane season, so at least be prepared. For top-of-the-line generators in Jacksonville, I turn to Tyson. Licensed pros at Tyson deliver reliable, whole-home standby generators and provide fast repair service. They even do custom installations for local businesses, so don't wait. Ensure seamless installation and peace of mind. Call Tyson now, 904-762-1000 for a free estimate on generator services. TysonInc.com.
David here with Royal Pest Services. It's back. Our summer Centricon Termite Special. New installs begin as low as $249. And if you have existing Centricon, but your renewal is through the roof, we can transfer you to Royal at no cost. Visit RoyalPestServices.com to schedule a free estimate.
On game day, you trust your team. On storm day, trust the people's roofer. Morgan Conley Roofing. Born here, built here, staying here. MorganConleyRoofing.org. License number CCC 1333544.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
1 hour down, 1 hour to go. We will take you up till 10 o'clock as we do every night. Hacker After Dark, 1010XL and 92.5 FM coming up. At the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour, we will go to Charlotte, North Carolina. We'll make a couple of stops in Charlotte this week at the Carolina Panthers side of the opener on Sunday. Mike Kay of the Charlotte Observer joins us to talk Bryce Young, Ted McMillan, Derek Brown, and the Carolina Panthers that will roll in here to Jacksonville on Sunday for the season opener. Coming up in less than 15 minutes, we will go to Gainesville. Andrew Spivey, GatorCountry.com, will stop by as Florida. Look, we talked a lot about Florida State. Thank you to Logan Robinson of Knoll Game Day. I'll get to the Gators in a moment. I did mention this earlier. The ACC is lucky that Florida State and Miami did what they did and came out with victories, because everybody else in the ACC looks awful. Is that a nice way of putting it? North Carolina last night was awful. Clemson at home, 10 points, losing to LSU. Kate Klubnik, oh my gosh. Virginia Tech could not move the ball at all against South Carolina. Syracuse couldn't stop Tennessee. It was a bad weekend for the Atlantic Coast Conference, but the Florida team saved them with a couple of marquee victories. And that gets me back to this point. I didn't know this until I read it earlier today. I was quite frankly stunned when I did see it. You have to go back to 2006, right? We're in 2025 right now. That's 19 years. We're talking almost 2 decades that you have to go back to find a week where Florida, Florida State, and Miami were all inside the top 15 of the AP poll. That was shocking. Shocking. Miami moved up inside the top 10. I believe they're number 6 now. Florida State was unranked. They moved all the way to 14. Florida beat the equivalent of a high school team. Again, that was an embarrassing game against Long Island. I get it. You had to replace FAMU with somebody, but man, that was a tough watch. LIU couldn't move the ball. At times, it didn't look like they were even trying to move the ball. Florida moved up from 15 to 13. So, yeah, the Noles, the Gators, and the Canes. First time in 19 years that the big three in the state of Florida are all inside the Associated Press top 15. Florida State was dominant. Again, Alabama, oh, my goodness. What they're saying about Kalen DeBoer in Birmingham right now. I already saw a couple of those websites, the Bet Onlines of the world, already have odds as to the next Alabama coach. And you see some pretty interesting names on there. Like D'Amico Ryans is on there, the current Texan coach, former Alabama linebacker. That makes you think a little bit. Now, look, I don't know if DeBoer's on the hot seat yet. Go out there and look like that against, Georgia in a couple of weeks. Go out there and look like that, certainly against your rivals. I don't know if he would be back in 2026 under those circumstances. Miami, nice win for the Hurricanes. Mario Cristobal tried to mess that up at the end, though. Notre Dame comes back, ties it at 24. Miami's driving the ball into Notre Dame territory. They're at the 30. And then they run it 3 times to make Notre Dame use all their timeouts. There's over a minute to go. And they relied on a kicker making a 47-yarder. All right, it worked. You can't criticize it, I guess, if it works. But, man, if he would have missed that kick, playing it that conservatively, whew. But it worked. So Mario Cristobal gets a big win over Notre Dame. Florida, again, we're going to talk to Andrew Spivey, GatorCountry.com. Kudos to Tramel Jones, right? The former Mandarin quarterback appears to have solidified his spot as DJ Lagway's backup. Denmark, I'm going to bring this up more with Andrew Spivey. I'm going to talk to you about this on Gator Bites on Friday. A little teaser here. I hate the position you're in if you're a Gator fan or a Gator media member, I guess. man, every time, at least to me, every time DJ Lagway gets hit or every time he goes to the ground, without exception, every time, I found myself holding my breath a little bit. I mean, that's just kind of where we are with DJ Lagway. It's unfortunate. And look, he hasn't missed that much time of game action. But the hamstring, the shoulder, the calf, it's just all accumulated. And just watching him out there, he just doesn't look spry, right? Now, he looked fine, 15 of 18, 3 touchdowns. He didn't look like he was limping or anything. But I just found myself, every time that guy got hit, I thought, man, I hope he's going to get up. And that's a terrible feeling to have.
I didn't have that feeling. I had the feeling that he looked like he hadn't practiced, which, according to reports, when you didn't play spring and you don't know how much summer he got in and you were in a boot to start camp, it kind of checked out. So I'm sure that they're going to look at the tape and practice it and, hopefully get it fixed because South Florida played well. I mean, I don't think Florida's going to have an issue with them. I mean, Florida's going to have to show up and perform, but yeah, it just looked like he hadn't practiced, and you could tell the timing and the rhythm between he and the receivers was not right.
Look, I think Florida wins the game on Saturday. I'm not breaking any news there. I think they're going to beat USF. I don't know if I'm as comfortable as you are saying no issue. I mean, look, I know some stats might have been deceiving, and maybe Boise State was overrated, and very likely that's probably the case. But that was still Boise State, a preseason top 25 team that USF just absolutely destroyed. Whether some stats are deceiving or not, total yardage, penalties, all right, I get it. But it was 34-7. I mean, it wasn't 13-7. USF obliterated Boise State. Got my attention. I know it got Billy Napier's attention. That's probably the best thing that came out of it. With Florida having LSU next week in Baton Rouge, maybe if USF would have snuck by Boise or if Boise would have beat USF pretty good, maybe the look-ahead factor. But you're not going to look past USF now after what they did to Boise State last week. So Florida will be locked in. I think they'll win the game. It's probably competitive. I think it's probably competitive till halftime, maybe midway through the third. But I think Florida wins the game, 17, 20 points or so towards the end. And then the gauntlet begins, right? We thought Florida's schedule was hard enough already. And then LSU goes and beats Clemson. And then USF destroys Boise State. Florida State destroys Alabama. The hardest schedule in America may actually now be harder than what we thought it was on Friday. We'll see how they navigate it. Speaking of the Gators, Andrew Spivey, GatorCountry.com. He's one of my guys in Gainesville when it comes to the Florida football team. Let's talk DJ Lagway. Let's talk Billy Napier. Let's talk Vernell Brown and that performance on Saturday. And let's preview USF, a game you'll hear right here on 1010XL Saturday afternoon. Andrew Spivey, GatorCountry.com, next, right here on Hacker After Dark.
There's a key that opens a very special door. The Jaguars locker room. Go in the locker room with Hayes Carline to get closer to the Jags. Unlocked by Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors.
Baloo here for Spunez Vision. Why Spunez Vision? Well, I've been with Dr. Neil Spunez now since I got back to Jacksonville in 2006. 37 years of experience he has. Spunez Vision is a family organization that focuses on personal high-quality medical and surgical eye care. Dr. Catherine Spunez is fellowship-trained in cornea and cataract surgery and all refractive surgery. Combined, that's 30 years plus in laser eye surgery. Visit SpunezVision.com today. Here you can see.
What are the only 2 states that do not observe daylight saving time? The answer next.
Having the right homeowner's policy protection means you're staying on top of your most valuable possession, your home. For information on finding an agent, go to southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
The only 2 states that currently do not observe daylight saving time are Arizona and Hawaii.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
It's a magical phone line.
Check this out.
It brings you things you can't get anywhere else, like insider insight from sports experts. Listen for the Checkmate Coatings phone line. Check. Every day on 1010XL.
I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, Director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 4-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year and right now make over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, your only cost for the books and the course fees, about $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org and you can apply there.
Apply by November 6th.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Since 1977, we've been Jacksonville's local family jeweler with a beautiful selection of fine jewelry and certified diamonds. But we're also Jacksonville's leading buyer of gold, silver, and diamonds from the public. Gold's recently hit an all-time high at over $3,000 per ounce. Pay bills, buy something fun. Now is the time to sell your gold for cash and get top dollar, or trade it in for a new piece and get even more at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
I used to dread going to the dentist. Every visit felt like a sales pitch with constant upselling, surprise fees on my bill, and I could never get in when I needed to. But Harbor Dental Care? Totally different. They saw me the next day, gave me honest pricing up front, and even set me up with a payment plan I could actually afford. No pressure, no surprise charges, just kind people who get it. If you want to experience dentistry the way it should be, book your appointment today at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
Hey, Jacksonville, it's Dan Hicken with a game changer. I've tested the field, and Checkmate Coatings is my new go-to for durable, jaw-dropping floor coatings. Better play, better results.
I'm Brendan with Checkmate Coatings. We coat it all: garages, pool decks, driveways, and patios. Be the envy of your neighbors.
Slam dunk your floors at checkmatecoatings.com. Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
Hey, this is Lauren Brooks. With over 1,600 five-star Google reviews, it was a no-brainer to have Closets by Design help us get organized at home. They create custom storage solutions for every space, lifestyle, and budget. From closets to garages to laundry rooms and more. Closets by Design will transform clutter into seamless organization. Call today to schedule a free in-home consultation and get 40% off plus an extra 15% off with free installation. But only until September 30th. 18 months financing is available. Call 904-878-9393 or visit closetsbydesign.com.
You waited forever for your new fence. Then strangers show up. Subcontractors rushing the job. Sent by the company you trusted. Frustrating, right? Superior Fence and Rail promises better. Their professionally trained builders deliver quality you can trust. No subcontractors, no shortcuts. Just the superior craftsmanship your home deserves.
When you're on the fence, about the fence, superiorfenceandrail.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line.
Hello.
Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Florida and USF, 4:15 on Saturday. Of course, you will hear the game right here on 1010XL as the Gators look to go to 2-0 on the year. Although there is no doubt this game probably a little more intriguing than maybe it was a week ago after what USF did to Boise State. Let's talk about all of it with Andrew Spivey. GatorCountry.com is where you find his terrific work. And Andrew's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Andrew, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Ryan. Thanks for having me on. Glad football's back. You know, it's finally here.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Florida got a victory last week, Andrew, but I don't know, man, honestly, how much you know. And not to speak ill of LIU. I know they were a replacement for FAMU, but I've been watching Gator openers a majority of years, like against teams like this, going back since 1990-ish. It's one of the worst teams I've ever seen Florida play. I mean, that was not a good product that they put on the field on Saturday night.
Yeah, you know, I think the biggest takeaway I have, Ryan, and maybe it's the what we've become used to since Urban Meyer, but it's like, when's the last time a Florida team lined up against a team that they should dominate and dominated? There's been so many games throughout, the last 10 years that you set yourself up saying, oh, well, Florida should be able to dominate this game, and they don't. And, I was able to take away a few things from the game. Obviously Tramel Jones looks like the real deal as QB2. And I think we can all say, thank goodness that he is QB2, and you're not going to, rely on a walk-on or a seventh-year senior to be that. And, overall, it was good to see DJ get the reps. You've seen early on he struggled with some, rust. You and I have talked about it. He hasn't taken a snap since Tulane, a competitive snap, that is, in the bowl game. So, you were able to take away a few things from this game. Overall, I think that seeing the young guys was nice, and again, you're going to have more out of this game where it's like, okay, they should have done this against LIU, or they should have done this against LIU, but let's take away some of the positives as well.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, Vernell Brown with a crazy catch. I mean, he was really, really good. Jaden Ball looks like the real deal at running back. Although I will say this, Andrew, about the running game. Look, I imagine the playbook was pretty vanilla. They weren't going to give away too much against LIU. But what is LIU doing with like 10 tackles for loss? Was that concerning to you at all?
Yeah, and you go back and you look at some film and you watch the game again, and Bryce Lovett struggled really, really bad at right tackle, and and a lot of it, of the tackles for loss was missed assignments where you go back and you watch and it's two guys blocking one and letting another guy go free. That is the positive of playing LIU, is that you get that out, but it's also a negative that was the case, after all training camp. LIU wasn't doing anything that was, exotic or anything that you're going to get, in 2 weeks when you face an LSU team defensively. It's going to bring all kind of weird stunts and blitzes and different things like that. So a kink that has to be worked out for sure, because it wasn't good. Hayden Hansen wasn't very good blocking at tight end. The receivers didn't do a good job blocking, and that's a staple under Billy Gonzalez, is they're gonna block. I mean, he is known for his position group blocking, and Sturdivant and a couple others, Trey Wilson, they didn't have good games blocking overall.
Andrew Spivey, GatorCountry.com. And look, as you said, we're nitpicking here. I mean, it was 55-0, but it should have been worse than that had Trey Smack acted like Trey Smack. I mean, Andrew, last year, he's one of the best kickers in the country. He missed 3 field goals on Saturday night. Again, is that a bad night, or is there a deeper problem there?
Yeah, I mean, that's how many he missed all of last year. 3. I mean, it was, he was it almost looked like 2 years ago, Trey Smack, that was the inconsistent guy, not last year, who was pretty much money. And, you want to say, okay, well, maybe it was the first game nerves, whatever. That's what you want to hope for, because everything we've been told is he's still been really, really good in fall camp and everything else. And, you see the leg strength is there. I mean, there's, different people saying he hit up to 68 in practice at times in the indoor this fall. And so I'm going to believe and shake it off that it was just first game, and that Trey is still Trey of last year, who's pretty consistent. Obviously that can't happen going forward, because Florida needs that. And, he's a weapon. I mean, when you're a guy that consistently can make it from 55 plus, that's a weapon. And Florida really needs to be able to count on that going forward into SEC play.
Andrew, I don't know what your thought is, but I've heard from a bunch of my Gator buddies, and it's really the same thought I've had as well. Every time Lagaway gets hit, or heaven forbid gets hit and goes to the ground, you kind of hold your breath, right? Now, the Tramel Jones, the emergence there of the Mandarin quarterback as a true freshman over there in Gainesville, I guess that helps a little bit. But I hate the feeling that a fan base has that literally every time your quarterback runs or goes down or whatever, you kind of hold your breath for a second to make sure that he's going to get up.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something, that unfortunately, I don't know that you're going to get away from with DJ. It kind of follows the Anthony Richardson, train a little bit of, every time they get hit, it's like, okay, are they going to get up and be okay? Or, is it an injury? And, I don't know that there's an answer for it other than you hope that this, fall he can stay healthy. He's put on some weight to help with the injuries there, but again, that the calf, I mean, is the calf fully healthy? Many people say no, it's not fully healthy, so you kind of worry about that there. And we all know that the shoulder is still a situation that they're watching. How many hits can he take to the shoulder? Again, DJ's a tough kid. DJ's going to play through a lot. But I don't know that he's going to shake that until he can go a long period of time staying healthy.
A couple of more for Andrew Spivey of GatorCountry.com. All right, the gauntlet begins against LSU. Then you go Miami, Texas, Texas A&M in a 5-week stretch. I'll be honest, I didn't think much of the USF game basically until last Thursday when all of a sudden you look at that game and USF has taken Boise State behind the woodshed. Now, I still think Florida is the overwhelming favorite. The look-ahead factor bothers me a little bit, knowing you have LSU last week. But because USF did what they did to Boise, if it got my attention, Andrew, it obviously got their attention as well.
Yeah, for sure. And, Billy does a good job of really getting the guys to focus, in particular on the in-state, programs and stuff. And so, I definitely don't think they were, ever going in this game lightly, but it definitely stepped up, and again, I don't know how much of USF is good or how much Boise's just not that good. I mean, when you really break it down, USF didn't have the greatest offensive drives, drive after drive. I mean, they had a few big plays that were chunk plays. They, had the special team play and everything else. It's definitely going to be a test. I mean, there's no doubt about that. The passing game is there for USF to an extent. So Florida's secondary is going to have to play well. And, it's going to be a test for Florida to see if they can get pressure and how much pressure they can get. And, I think you'll see a lot of those guys that was injured back or who didn't play last week back. So, you'll have Caleb Banks there and Jaden Woods there. So, it'll be interesting to see just how the defensive line, and it's another tune-up before Death Valley in 2 weeks.
Yeah, what are you hoping to see as we begin to wrap up? What are you hoping to see personally on Saturday against USF, knowing you got to go to the Bayou on a Saturday night a week from Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, I really want to see DJ, continue. I thought first 2 drives, DJ looked real rusty. And then I thought as the game progressed, he got a lot better. And I want to see that as well. I want to see that. And then the offensive line, shaking off those cobwebs of, having the missed blocks, the missed assignments there. You really need the running game to get going in this game, and you need the offensive line to, to be in the right mindset before they head to LSU, who's going to have a really good defensive line. And then defensively, I really want to see that defensive line continue to get after the quarterback. They did a really, really good job against LIU. Again, it's LIU, but they were getting a lot of pressure on the quarterback, and that was without Caleb Banks. And I think that's going to be a big thing for them. And the secondary looking good, Devin Moore, those guys continue to look good. So getting pressure and then blocking up front, I would say. And that old saying of on Saturdays you win on the line of scrimmage. Let's see that line of scrimmage get a little bit better this week.
Florida and USF Saturday at 4:15. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL. Leading up to the game, we invite you to go to GatorCountry.com. Andrew, what do you guys have over there at Gator Country as USF comes in on Saturday?
Yeah, man, we're getting some recruiting stuff up. As the season gets underway, recruits start coming. Florida's done a really good job in the recruiting rankings. Already have a good amount of their commits already in the class, but some targets coming on campus, and then previewing that USF game as it gets closer, and then obviously we'll be ready for that LSU game in Death Valley in 2 weeks.
Andrew Spivey, GatorCountry.com. Andrew, I know it's busy times over there for you. Thank you for spending time with us. We certainly appreciate it, man.
Absolutely, Ryan. Take care, buddy.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialist is now offering ortho walk-in appointments. If you have an immediate need for orthopedic care, contact Southeast Orthopedic Specialist immediately. Avoid ERs and urgent care waiting rooms. For more information, go to se-ortho.com.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Jacksonville is football season, and Duck Rooter is proud to be on your home team. As a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, we tackle plumbing, septic, and air conditioning problems with championship-level service. Keep an eye out for our custom Jaguar wrap plumbing vans rolling around town. They're hard to miss and always ready for the next play at your home or business. With thousands of 5-star Google reviews and the only master septic contractor in Northeast Florida, trust Duck Rooter to keep you in the game. Call 904-862-6769 or visit duckduckrooter.com. Duck Rooter, when you're stuck, call the Duck.
Have you or someone you care about been arrested or had their driver's license taken away? I'm Susan Cohen, and I work with David Robbins at the law firm of Epstein & Robbins. We are experienced fighters for those charged with DUI and all criminal offenses. I've been named the best DUI attorney in the state, and David has been named the best criminal defense lawyer in Jacksonville. In your battle with the justice system, there is only one thing you need to know. Dial David 24/7 at Epstein & Robbins, 354-5645.
Did you know that for every inch of rain on a 2,000 square foot roof, 1,500 gallons come off the eaves of the roof? Call Clearwater Seamless Gutters and Drainage, and we'll design a plan using our Clearwater Seamless Gutters, and we'll connect those gutters to a Clearwater drainage system to solve your erosion and standing water issues.
Clearwater Seamless Gutters. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at gutters.
And drainage, too.
SeamlessGuttersJacksonville.com.
When you need a mechanic you can trust, visit AA Automotive on Richard Street. For oil changes to complex repairs, AA Automotive is a full-service repair shop for personal and commercial fleet vehicles. Trust AA to keep your ride running A-OK.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. If you've got fogged up windows, let me help. We'll replace them with clear, insulated units that brighten up your home. People say we're fast, friendly, and reliable. Just check out our Google reviews. Call me today. Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
Now is the right time to order your holiday decorating from Kuhn Flowers. This is ET with 1010XL, and Kuhn Flowers will do your holiday tree decorating, including all of your lights. Wow. So call Kuhn Flowers today. They'll do it all this fall.
Hey, Hicken here. Celebrate the month of September with our friends at Zero Res and get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $139 plus the 4th room free. Take $100 off your air duct cleaning as well. Book online at ZeroResJacksonville.com and take advantage of these huge savings.
When it comes to towing products, your safety is the priority at Cannons of Jacksonville. Cannons has decades of experience to ensure your towing setup is installed with precision and reliability. Visit cannonsofjacks.com, your trusted partner for a smoother tow.
September is Prostate Cancer Awareness Month, so here's a reminder to get screened. Ackerman Urology has 4 convenient locations to help you put your prostate health first. Guys, don't put this one off. Visit AckermanUrology.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Yes, it is till 10 o'clock, as we are every night. 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Thank you to Logan Robinson of Knoll Game Day. Thank you to Andrew Spivey of Gator Country. As both Florida State, you want Miami in as well. Georgia was dominant in their win over Marshall. All four teams that we talk about the most here in Jacksonville. 4 impressive victories this week. A lot of bad games, quite frankly. Miami has, I think, Bethune-Cookman. Florida State has East Texas A&M. I don't know who Georgia plays, but I remember it's a bad opponent. And Florida's got the best opponent of the 4 with a USF team that just beat Boise State by 4 touchdowns.
Georgia's got Austin P.
Austin P.
Let's go P.
I mean, you got Austin P and the Dogs. You got East Texas A&M and Florida State. You got Bethune-Cookman in Miami. And, hey, you got USF in Florida, 4:15 right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. More on the college game as the week goes on. Back into the Jaguars, back into the National Football League. Look, we're going to obviously spend a ton of time from the Jaguar point of view of this game. But I do want to give you every week a taste of what the opponents are saying. And this week, I got a couple of guys in Charlotte. One of them, formerly here in Jacksonville. Mike Kay was with First Coast News for a couple of years back in the day. He then went to Philadelphia, then to Pro Football Network, and he settled down in Charlotte as the beat writer for the Carolina Panthers for the Charlotte Observer. He joins me next. Let's talk Bryce Young. Let's talk Carolina coming here to Jacksonville. We look at this as a must-win. We look at this as a game the Jaguars should win. Does Carolina think the exact same thing from their side of the equation? We'll talk Carolina Panthers, the enemy on Sunday. Mike Kay of the Charlotte Observer next, right here on Hacker After Dark.
New coaches.
The future. That's truly what's exciting.
New players.
I bring the juice every day.
New season.
We've done some great things this offseason.
This is where the dream begins. And Duval is downright ready.
Time to go.
Now, it's for real. Jaguars, Panthers, Sunday at 1 on the home of the Jaguars. 1010XL.
Tired of high energy bills? Replace those inefficient windows and patio doors now with the big BOGO event. Buy one, get one 40% off replacement windows and patio doors. Plus, no money down, no payments, and no interest for 18 months. This offer expires September 30th. Renewal by Anderson, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com to schedule your free consultation.
License number CGC 1527613.
First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
I'm Max Fink, and I'm your Gator Updater. Listen for the Gator Report several times a week on 1010XL.
Freshened up by San Jose Collision on the home of the Florida Gators. 1010XL.
Go, Gators! I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick. We're a 4-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year, and right now make over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, it only costs for the books and the course fees. About $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org and you can apply there.
Apply by November 6th.
How much do the performers for Super Bowl halftime shows get paid?
Filing an insurance claim following a storm shouldn't be an ordeal. Southern Oak Insurance's claim team prepares for catastrophic situations well in advance. Log on to southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
Super Bowl performers are not paid for their shows, but production costs are covered by the NFL, which could go as high as $15 million.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Since 1977, we've been Jacksonville's local family jeweler with a beautiful selection of fine jewelry and certified diamonds. But we're also Jacksonville's leading buyer of gold, silver, and diamonds from the public. Gold's recently hit an all-time high at over $3,000 per ounce. Pay bills, buy something fun. Now is the time to sell your gold for cash and get top dollar, or trade it in for a new piece and get even more at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah. Now, the cool down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The Jaguars and the Panthers, Sunday, 1 o'clock. Of course, you will hear the game right here on 1010XL as the NFL regular season opener for both Carolina and Jacksonville. Let's look at this Carolina Panther football team. Let's talk about Bryce Young, Ted McMillan, Dave Canales coming into his second year as a head coach. And let's do that with a familiar name in these parts. Mike Kay, once upon a time, worked for First Coast News here in Jacksonville. He is now with the Charlotte Observer covering the Carolina Panthers. And Mike's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Mike, it's been a little while, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. Can't complain. Looking forward to coming back to where I went to college and obviously, as you mentioned, covered the Jaguars.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing you on Sunday. The Carolina Panthers, just from an outside point of view, middle of last year, looked like there was very little hope. And then all of a sudden, Bryce Young started doing some things to where at the end of the year, you thought, maybe the light came on, or whatever verbiage you want to use. I know a lot of that momentum has transferred into this offseason, and there are now some expectations in Carolina, correct?
Yeah, I think the big turnaround kind of came around week 8 when they played against Denver. Andy Dalton, who Young was benched for earlier in the season, got into a freak car accident, hurt his throwing thumb. Bryce came out, had a pretty solid but not great game. And then the next week when they hosted the Saints at home, he put everything kind of together. Then they go to Germany and beat the Giants, and it felt like the momentum was building. It seemed like the overall team kind of turned things around. And I think for Bryce, who started week 1 of his rookie year, and then later on in the season played the Jaguars to kind of close it out, as you can probably remember, he never really got the opportunity to sit and watch his offensive parts in action. And I think that led to not necessarily distrust, but a hesitation in the way that he handled the pre-snap play calling, getting to the line, calling protections, just understanding how the offense flowed. And then you have a new head coach come in. He's got to learn all this stuff. And I just think it carried over into last year, those first 2 games. But getting a step back and getting to watch the offense with Andy Dalton, I think he kind of bought in and understood what he needed to do.
Yeah, Bryce Young was impressive towards the end of last year. And you look at the talent around him at the skill positions. Chuba Hubbard, a very accomplished running back. And I got to tell you, Mike, we did a lot of homework on Ted McMillan here in Jacksonville. There was a lot of thought that Jaguars might go that direction at number 5. Of course, they trade up for Travis Hunter. But how has McMillan looked in the preseason?
Well, at least the preseason, it's kind of been a mixed bag. He caught a 30-yard pass down the right sideline in the preseason opener. But outside of that, he's kind of had his growing pains. He's kind of working on his timing. He's the X receiver, so he's facing press coverage. He's kind of getting his timing down with Bryce. He had a wide open touchdown bang off his chest in the preseason opener just because he and Bryce didn't get on the same page on an anticipation throw. It's been a learning process, but for the most part in practice, he's been pretty dynamic, especially as a jump ball receiver.
Mike Kay of the Charlotte Observer talking Carolina Panthers with us. The Panthers and the Jaguars Sunday at 1 o'clock. Of course, you'll hear that game right here on 1010XL. You know, you look at the defensive side of the ball, I guess the biggest addition for Carolina is the fact that Derek Brown is back in the middle. He missed almost the entirety of last season with an injury. Brown is back, and that should certainly help Mike, a rush defense last year that I believe was last in the NFL.
Yeah, they allowed the most rushing yards in a season, granted a 17-game season since 1980. They also allowed the most points in the history of the NFL as well as a defense. So there's a lot of improvement needed. Derek Brown certainly helps. He's one of the best open space tacklers on the defensive line in the NFL. He was coming off a Pro Bowl season. They paid him, and then obviously he had the meniscus injury and missed all but one game last season. They feel good about him. They feel good about the new recruits and Turk Wharton from the Chiefs, Bobby Brown from the Rams. They brought in Christian Roseboom at linebacker, who also is from the Rams. And they feel really good about their corners. J.C. Horn, who went to a Pro Bowl last year, and Mike Jackson, who they got basically on a flyer last year, and he turned into a really suitable number 2 corner. Where they lack kind of depth is an inside linebacker with Roseboom kind of taking over for Josie Jewell, and then second-year linebacker Trevin Wallace, becoming that, playmaker at the position. And then at safety, they brought in Trevon Merrick, and they're still trying to figure out the starting position opposite him. Lathan Ransom from Ohio State might get the nod in week 1.
Mike Kay of the Charlotte Observer. It's interesting, too, when you look at Liam Cohen making his head coaching debut here on Sunday, playing against Dave Canales, who's coming into year 2, both of which were the last 2 Tampa Bay Buccaneer offensive coordinators. And Cohen talked earlier this week about talking to Canales at the owners' meetings about, things to look for as a first-year head coach. There's a relationship there because they both spent that 1 year in Tampa with Baker Mayfield. How has Dave Canales been this offseason, and what is the thought on him in Charlotte heading into year number 2?
Well, a defensive player, I'm struggling to remember who it was, said early in training camp that it felt like they went from being a team into becoming a program. And I think in this NIL era where guys are switching around teams and acting like pros, they're more accustomed to buy into the program, like a college program, than they would be to, the old school pros that we covered maybe 10 years ago. And so I think the younger guys, especially on rookie contracts, who have been part of that business world in college, I think they're really buying into the way that Dave is constantly the same person. He explains the why of everything. He's an extremely positive guy. And I think they're buying into that. And I think the veterans, in turn, view him as a breath of fresh air after going through the Matt Rule era. I know I just brought up college atmosphere, but he was pre-NIL. And Frank Reich, who had his one disastrous season here. So I think they're in a spot right now where they're buying into the positive vibes. I know they only had a 3-game uptick from their previous season last year, but that seemed like nearly impossible at the end of a 2-win season a couple of years ago. So I think they feel like they're heading in the right direction.
Mike, I want to talk about the injuries as we begin to wrap up, but from a local standpoint, Gator fans will remember Princely Umanmielen, also Trevor Etienne, who transferred to Georgia. Both Etienne brothers will be in the stadium on Sunday. What is the thought about Etienne and Umanmielen in their rookie seasons up there with the Panthers?
Yeah, these two teams actually have a ton in common other than the Etienne brothers. But anyway, I digress. Trevor is really impressive out of the backfield as a pure catcher of the football, similar to his brother. I expect him to play mostly on third down. He'll get kick return opportunities. And right now, the punt returner job seems wide open, and he'll be among that group. Princely Umanmielen kind of reminds me of a Florida State alum who I covered in Philadelphia, Josh Sweat. He's got incredible bend. He's got great speed. If he can beat you with speed, you've lost. I think he's going to have a pretty productive year as a rotational pass rusher. They've got DJ Wanham and Patrick Jones ahead of him on the depth chart, but I believe that by the end of the season, Umanmielen and their second-round pick, Nick Scorton, will be playing in plus territory as far as the playing time is concerned.
As far as the injuries for Carolina, Jalen Coker appears to be the big one. All reports were he was having a fantastic camp. I mean, you're there every day. I'm sure you can put some credence on that. He gets injured with a quad, I believe. The complicated thing there is they also trade Adam Thielen, so now they have to bring Hunter Renfrow back, who they cut. So what are we looking at after Leggett and after McMillan at wide receiver on Sunday?
It'll be Hunter Renfrow, who actually had a pretty good camp until he suffered a hamstring injury and then kind of returned kind of half-baked. But but they like him. He's a veteran. He knows how to work in space. Obviously, he was a Pro Bowler a few years ago. And they're hoping after, he was battling an illness last year, which took him out of the league. He feels healthy now. Hopefully he can make the most of things. They really like David Moore, who's essentially, the teacher's assistant to Dave Canales on the football field. Jimmy Horton might not be active, but he's a guy they like with speed. And then I would really focus on the tight end group. Tommy Tremble's a guy that they re-signed, who they feel pretty good about, who's more of a traditional two-way tight end. And then Jatavian Sanders is coming off an incredible training camp, and he's going to factor into the slot as well. I think he's going to have a very productive year.
And quickly, I know one of the starting offensive tackles had a medical procedure done, and I guess his status for Sunday is still up in the air.
Yeah, starting left tackle Ike Ekwonu had an emergency appendectomy a week from Sunday, this past Sunday. And so they're kind of hoping he'll get back, but it doesn't sound all that promising. If he can't play, they'll have either Josh Nijman, formerly of the Packers, or Brady Christensen, their former third-round pick, who both have started quite a few games at left tackle. If you remember, the last time these two teams played, Ekwonu had a pretty rough Sunday. So either way, I think, Josh Allen Hines or Travon Walker are going to have a pretty good Sunday in general.
Mike Kay of the Charlotte Observer. Mike, as we begin to wrap up, people here in Jacksonville are looking at this game as a big game, knowing Cincinnati, Houston, San Francisco, and Kansas City are the next four. I would have to think people in Charlotte are also looking at this as a pretty good opportunity to start 1-0, coming down to play a Jaguar team with so much newness. How is the fan base up there looking at this game on Sunday?
I think it's a pretty comparable setting. I mean, look, these are two teams that were born out of the same expansion. They are two teams that are millennial-based for the most part. This team grew up with its current fans. And I think they both feel like after, their respective college coaches coming in and screwing things up, and then having the Super Bowl winners from Philly come in, now they're kind of in this spot where they're kind of growing as like a new age organization. Both of them are. And I think they're gonna hope to squeak this one out, because they're on the road 3 of their first 4 Sundays. And if they can start 1-1 on the season, whether it's winning on Sunday against the Jaguars or winning against Arizona in week 2, they will feel a lot better about where they're headed, especially with a very late bye week.
Mike, for Jaguar fans that want to keep updates on Carolina before the game on Sunday, they can check you out at the Charlotte Observer. And I know you also host a Carolina Panther podcast as well.
Yeah, Processing Blue. You can find that on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And listen, I still have the same Twitter or X handle that you may remember, at Mike_E_KAYE. It's the worst handle in the history of Twitter, but at least you'll remember it.
Well, Mike Kay, formerly of First Coast News here in Jacksonville, now with the Charlotte Observer, as it will be Carolina and Jacksonville Sunday at 1 o'clock. You'll hear the game right here on 1010XL. Mike, safe travels to Jacksonville, and we'll see you on Sunday.
Sounds good.
And thank you to Mike Kay of the Charlotte Observer for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark to get the Carolina Panther side of this matchup on Sunday. Of course, you will hear the Jaguars and the Panthers right here on 1010XL, 1 o'clock Sunday afternoon, the regular season opener. And we will debut the 5th quarter on Sunday evening, 2 hours after the Jaguars and the Panthers go final. We invite you to join myself, the Pro Bowler Leon Searcy, and our coach, Gerald Ingram, live at Hurricane Grill and Wings in San Marco, as we are hopefully celebrating a Jaguar victory on Sunday evening. But thank you to Mike Kay of the Charlotte Observer for giving us the Carolina Panther side of this opener. We spent some time on Carolina, spent some time on both Florida and Florida State. Kudos to the Seminoles. A huge victory over Alabama. Florida took care of business against a woefully inferior opponent. Miami, a very nice win against Notre Dame, as the big 3 in the state all started victorious. And then certainly we spent some time on the Jaguars as they are getting ready for the Carolina Panthers and that season opener on Sunday afternoon. Well, that will just about do it, man. Very, very busy Tuesday night edition of Hacker After Dark, back off a 3-day Labor Day weekend. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. We have a ton of people to thank. Again, Mike Kay of the Charlotte Observer talking Carolina Panthers with us. Thank you to Andrew Spivey, GatorCountry.com over in Gainesville, for joining us to look back on the victory over Long Island and look ahead to the game on Saturday against USF. Logan Robinson, the owner and the founder of Knoll Game Day, stopped by. He was at Doak Campbell Stadium on Saturday, and we appreciate Logan Robinson of Knoll Game Day for giving us his thoughts on the big Florida State win over Alabama. And back in hour number one, the coach Mark Duffner, 50 years of coaching experience, including almost 30 years alone in the National Football League. We're going to have Coach Duffner on a lot this year, and certainly enjoyed that conversation talking Jaguars and getting you ready for the Carolina Panthers on Sunday. Now, we will be back tomorrow night on a Wednesday. I'll be down in the Jaguar locker room tomorrow. Hopefully have some one-on-one conversations at that point, and you will hear those conversations tomorrow night on a Wednesday night edition of Hacker After Dark. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the hacker Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Tuesday evening with us right here.